Well, it's Saturday in Simpsonville, South Carolina, and it's going to be another beautiful day out there. The sun is out. It's going to be cool. It's going to probably be in the low 50s, but it's going to be a beautiful day. Our pastor told a funny story Sunday. Probably not funny at the time, but certainly funny many years later. He had gotten word that an elderly man was sick. Didn't know him real well, and knew that he was up in his 90s. Was asked to go and pray for him, and as is often the case, you can't get there immediately, and he got there a day or two after had been asked to come and pray. And so he went to pray, and nobody had told him that the man had passed away. I understand, nobody told him that he had passed away. And so he went in and he said, we're going to pray for brother so-and-so to get better and to have some extended days. And went on for quite a while about, let's go in and pray with him. And finally one of the ladies pulled him aside and said, Pastor, he died an hour ago. Well, the lady that had lost her husband said, praise God, here's a man of faith that's going to raise my husband from the dead. And she fully believed that God could raise him from the dead. And sometimes we need to have that kind of faith, don't we? But you can imagine this poor pastor. So I sat back today remembering a message that I preached, and also saying to myself, now, what would I have done had I been put in that position? And hindsight's a lot easier than foresight. I think I probably would have said, I'm so sorry. But now that we reflect on this, he was in his 90s, and he's with Jesus in heaven with a new perfect body, and it would be unkind to bring him back. And I think most of us realize that that's true. It would be unkind to bring somebody in their 90s back to life, other than for their family who don't ever want to say goodbye to anybody, and we understand that. But when you think about heaven and you think about how real it is, you gotta believe that when you've reached your 90s, heaven is a better place for you than this old earth. Anyway, the title of the message that I preached several years ago was Do Not Be Afraid, Only Believe. It's found in Luke chapter 8, verses 40 through 56. And we find a head of a synagogue has come, and he's desperate. I mean, he's absolutely desperate. He falls at Jesus' feet and he beseeches him, he implores him to come, because his only daughter, just 12 years of age, is dying. Now, put yourself in that place. You have an only daughter, and you have her on the point of death, and you've heard that Jesus has been healing, and this man is desperate. Lots of times we have to come to Jesus when we're desperate. And on the way, there's a little interlude where he has to press through a large crowd that's been following him, and he actually heals a woman who's had an issue of blood for a number of years. And right after that incident, it's recorded in verse 49 that someone comes and says, don't bother the master, it's too late, she's already dead. Well, that certainly would be a tough thing to take. Yet, here's what Jesus says in verse 50, the key verse. Do not be afraid, only believe. She will be made well. What an incredible statement. I mean, they've just gotten the report that she's dead, don't bother the master anymore. Not that she's almost dead, but that she's already dead. And the master says, do not be afraid, only believe, and she'll be made well. When he arrives, he sees everybody weeping. He says, stop weeping. She's going to live again. And they literally laugh at him. Laugh at him. Verse 54, he took the child by the hand, and he said, arise, arise, my child. One day, from all of the tombs around the world, he's going to say, arise, my child. Now, here's a very important doctrinal truth. We're not talking about the physical body not dying. We're talking about the fact that the spirit is eternal. And here it says, after the child arose, the spirit returned to the body so that she could arise. And so we see the separation of body and spirit, and we see the rejoining of body and spirit. Well, what's the application for today? Well, I think, we certainly ought to have people that warn us when we're asked to go pray that the person has already died. But nevertheless, the real application is when you're desperate, as this official of the synagogue was. When you're desperate, you need to seek him. And you need to beseech him. You need to implore him. You need to show him that you're desperate. And then you need to believe. You need to believe that he can. Not necessarily that he will, and not necessarily that would be best for the person. You see, a healing here on earth is temporal, but salvation is eternal. And so we need to not only seek him, but then we need to believe that he can do whatever he needs to do, but whatever he does will be best. And then just trust that that's true, that whatever he does is best. That's your thought for the day. God bless you and have a great day.